You are listening to the Toxic Mold Podcast with Steve Worsley, the toxic mold expert and your number one source for mold consulting and mitigation in the USA. Let's dive into a brand new episode.
Before we get started on this episode, here's a not-so-short disclaimer. While all attempts have been made to verify the content provided in this podcast, neither the podcaster nor the producers assume any responsibility for errors, omissions, or alternative interpretations of the issues discussed here. All information stated in this podcast is the opinion of Steve Worsley. Steve Worsley is a mold specialist with over 25 years of experience in the construction and mold industry. The Toxic Mold Podcast is for information sharing purposes only. The views expressed are those of the podcaster and his alone. These views should not be taken as expert instruction or commands. While there may be references to medical conditions and symptoms, all podcast episodes are the opinion of Steve Worsley, and any medical questions or concerns shall be addressed with the appropriate licensed medical professional or professionals. As the podcaster refers to different mold types, please be aware that Steve Worsley is not a microbiologist, and questions concerning mold specifics should be answered by the appropriate professional. Steve isn't, nor does he offer any legal advice. For any legal advice, you must speak to a lawyer. The listener is 100% responsible for his or her own actions. You can check out Steve's books on Amazon. Just go to Amazon and search for author Steve Worsley. You can also take Steve's mold education courses, such as Mold 101 and the Mycotoxin Prevention Kit, by going to cnccontractorservices.com. Again, check out his mold education courses at cnccontractorservices.com. Now, let's get to the episode.
Hello, you're listening to the Toxic Mold Podcast with myself, Steve Worsley, and we have my wife, Cassandra, again. Are you getting tired of these? No?
No, I always have questions for you.
Which is good. That's why we tried a little stint of me doing it by myself, and I don't think of the questions you think of.
No, because you know it inside and out. So I bring the layperson's perspective to the table.
I don't know if I'd say I know it inside and out, but I've been around a long time, and I've been in the construction industry. It's crazy. I had to do a capability statement for a government project, and I've been in construction over 30 years.
That's crazy. Yes.
But I'm 29, so.
Since you were born, yeah. That's okay.
Clearly I'm not, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. So today's topic is, and all of them are interesting, but it's purchasing a home with black mold. Let's discuss the home purchasing process. So what do you think about when you hear that? I got a book right over there. It's one of my best sellers.
Black Mold and Home Inspections, What Your Realtor Won't Tell You. Is
exactly.
That what it's called? I love that title. So
yeah, it offended a few realtors, but
yeah, I think a lot of people get scared when well, let me backtrack. I think a lot of people buy a home, close on the home, and then move into the home, only realize there's black mold there, and that freaks them out. I think a lot of people will not buy a home if it is disclosed that there's black mold. And I think a lot of people selling a home will not disclose that there's mold in the home, and they've never gotten it tested, so they don't legally have to disclose.
Yeah, I think for the most part, you're correct. I think a lot of sellers do not disclose.
Nope.
What their intent is, I have no idea. I think some of them, it's just ignorance. Mm-hmm. And I think some of them intentionally don't want to tell anybody.
Yeah. A lot of people they don't want to take a ding to the sales price, or having to pay money at closing, or having to mitigate the mold in order to sell the house. So yeah,
it's similar to if you're an honest person and you're selling a vehicle, you're going to disclose everything to the buyer.
Yeah.
But if you're dishonest, you're not going to tell them anything and just hope that,
hope they figure it out later.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, but when let's say somebody is purchasing a fixer-upper house, and they see visibly that there are mold issues, but they're getting the house at such a great price that they're like, this is what we can afford, and hopefully we can fix it. I mean,
that's a pretty risky thing to do, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. We both know people that claim to be, handymen, contractors, and start projects and never finish them.
Yep.
If you have a spouse that's like that, that's probably not a good idea. If it's your spouse that's saying, yeah, I'll fix that. Now, if it was us, I can speak for me. If I told you, yeah, Cassandra, I'll make sure I address everything, I would hope that you trust me that I would do that.
Well, of course. But I know that there are plenty of people who have spouses who say they will do things and then never turn around and do it. If you would like to avoid a divorce, don't buy that house. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. And, something I bring up in the book, and you've brought it up numerous times, and I'm sure our listeners kind of feel this way. I think a lot of people just assume the realtor is the one that's going to walk you through all these steps.
Well, until you told me, I always assumed that a realtor, because every house I've ever purchased, the realtor is the one who scheduled the home inspector and got it done. I never hired a home inspector.
In most states, that's illegal.
Oh, well. In Connecticut, it wasn't. In Alabama, it wasn't. But anyway, I always assumed the realtor takes care of all the things related to buying the home, meaning mold inspection, home inspection. A mold inspection comes with a home inspection. It wasn't until you told me that that's not part of a home inspection.
No, a home inspection's a generalist.
Okay.
So, when you don't feel well, you go to your GP. He's a generalist or she's a generalist.
Yes.
And then it's their job to recommend a specialist. So for the most part, like your home inspector, and most of them do not have the experience. They don't have the certifications. Even if they do have the certifications, not all of them have the knowledge that a mold specialist would have.
Correct.
Like before we met, how much did you know about mold?
Very little.
Just think, about our listener, and they've never dealt with mold. Now they have, and it's overwhelming. My point is most people are not fully aware of the ramifications of mold exposure.
Well,
and your realtor's being paid to sell you a home.
That's an important point. The realtor's perspective is I've got to make money.
And I'm not trying to attack realtors. Like, they spend a lot of time showing homes. But for our listeners, just keep that in mind. Then keep in mind, how much does your realtor know about mold? There's holistic realtors now. I mean, we have holistic everything, it seems like, that are familiar with mold. But my point is it's not your realtor's job to know about mold.
Well, and you have to understand the perspective that every person, I like to call it your mold support team. You have to know the perspective of every person on your mold support team. And if you're buying a house, let's say you say, well, my realtor's helping me find the right house for me, and they're in my mold support team. You have to understand that the perspective the realtor is coming from is they get paid commission. Mm-hmm. They only get paid when they sell a house.
Exactly.
So they're not going to be as on board for your support of mold as your IEP, whose context is, I'm here to make sure you don't get into a mold-infested house.
It's no different than, I would say to our listeners, do you think that your mold-literate doctor or health professional understands the remediation side or the construction side of mold?
Probably not.
And they shouldn't. That's not their job.
Correct. So at the end of the day, somebody is looking to buy a house at a cheap price and a fixer-upper, and it has been disclosed that there could be or there is black mold. What happens next?
Well, if it depends. If you've signed the contract, then do you know what I mean? Yeah. Is that what you're asking me?
Well, I'm thinking from your expertise.
What would I say to a client that said that?
Yes.
Well, first and foremost, I would say don't, make sure your offer is on a contingency pending appraisals and inspections.
Okay.
And then do the proper testing and inspections.
To see how deep of an issue this mold is. Because it could be a money pit or it could be a minor mold issue.
And even from my perspective as a mold specialist, I can't see everything either. I would be very careful if for our listeners, if you're trying to save a quick buck to buy a home that was just flipped or needs a lot of work, I'd just be careful and come up with a game plan. Like, okay, are we financially prepared? Let's say it's a flip. Mm-hmm. So it's all brand new paint. As far as an inspector, that is the last thing I want to see. Is a fresh coat of paint.
Because they're covering something up?
Well, are they covering something up? Mm-hmm. I don't just assume they are, but are they?
That makes a lot of sense. And I wonder, it's not just about the mold, right? Like if somebody's trying to buy a fixer-upper, let's say there is no...
It could have been a meth house.
Yeah, there's no sign of black mold anywhere in that house. But if
the roof has issues and there are leaks. The kitchen has issues and there are leaks. The basement has issues and there are leaks. And the grading and drainage is not properly done. That's just a mold issue waiting to happen,
exactly.
Right?
And I guess for what I'm saying is a fresh flip, everything's brand new.
Correct. It could be hiding stuff.
They could be hiding a lot of stuff.
Okay.
There's a big difference between a flip and buying a fixer-upper. Fixer-uppers, it's sold as is. You should plan on gutting everything. Now, if you're doing that on a 1,200 square foot home versus a 3,700 square foot home, there's a big difference.
Really big difference.
Going back to your question, like it's not an easy answer. Do you know what I mean?
Well, but what should the home purchasing process look like if somebody is considering either purchasing a home they know has mold or purchasing a home they know has defects that could cause toxic mold?
Well, so obviously, in the process of purchasing a home, you go through the phase of walking through the home with your realtor.
Okay.
You haven't put an offer in, no money's gone to ask, nothing's happened. What is it called? I call it a retainer, but it's something different.
Earnest money?
Yes. If you've done none of that, there are things that I would go through and look at, and you just kind of name them. Look at the grading and drainage. Look at the roof. See what condition the roof is. Look at the gutters. Look underneath the sinks. Look in the crawl space. For our listeners, because, mostly, and what I deal with is women, have your husband show up while you're looking at homes and have him go look at the stuff that pertains to this. And then you can go look at what most home buyers are looking at. Like, how's my entertainment center going to look in this room? Mm-hmm. That's the problem with the home purchasing process. It's an emotional decision.
Would the fall or spring checklist be a good thing to have people who are looking at buying a house consider doing at least some of that to vet the house?
Yeah. And I guess what my whole point is I would try to pre-screen the homes as you're looking at them.
Okay.
Like, you can walk into a home and be like, man, there's a weird smell. Well, is it a musty smell? Yeah. Is it a moldy smell? Is it a urine smell? Or is it a bunch of air fresheners you're smelling that they're trying to mask? Just go through and start spotting all the red flags.
As part of viewing houses, do you recommend that a home buyer, and I'm not sure where this would happen, but do you recommend that a home buyer have a mold inspector come out and bring their infrared camera and do a whole inspection?
No, not when you're looking.
Okay.
No, I would wait till it's under contract. So what I'm saying in this episode is for our listeners, spot the red flags.
Okay.
And think through it, come up with pricing of whatever. Then once you put it under contract, your realtor, this is their job, it should be pending appraisals and inspections. And then you get a 2 to 3 week time frame. The reason I say not to bring your mold inspector, if it was you looking, of course you would bring me. Mm-hmm. But if you're not my wife, I'm charging you for my time.
Exactly.
So
they need to be serious enough about the house to put in earnest money before, and then with pending the inspections, then you bring in the mold person, because that might change whether or not you move forward with buying the house.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
If you're mold sensitive, if you have that HLA-DR gene, if you're familiar with mold, you have CIRS, CIRS, you have Lyme's, I would personally hire a mold inspector before I hire the home inspector. But keep this in mind. Not all mold inspectors were previous home inspectors like myself.
Correct. Not all mold inspectors are created equal.
My point is hire the one that's going to really do the deeper dive.
Correct. Because you obviously want to know.
Yeah.
So you're saying when you're looking at homes, be on the lookout for spotting defects.
Yeah, like water stains, improper grading and drainage. That's what I'm telling our listeners. Pay attention to that stuff before you get any money involved.
But also pay attention to the things they might be covering, like fresh paint, or they're using a lot of air fresheners, or what are some other things that, as a home inspector, clued you into? What could they be covering up?
Air fresheners is the number one thing.
Oh, okay.
Like, you go in and you see air fresheners in every room, Glade plugins, damp rid. That was always, when I did inspections, I'm out west. It's not humid. But they have these little damp rid things you can hang from a hanger in a closet to help with humidity.
Okay. Sometimes
they put, the air fresheners that are, like, they're not plugged in. Like, you can just tell.
You can tell that there's... It's overdoing it.
Candles going.
It's overdoing it. So you're like,
Yeah, like in open houses, that's what they do.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the other morning when our dog pooped, the first thing you said when you came downstairs is, "Why is a candle going?"
Yeah, and but that's just how I am.
Yeah.
Like, what's this for? And then you're like, well, the dog had an accident overnight and you had cleaned it up, thankfully.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect example. Like, what's the seller or the realtor trying to cover up?
Absolutely. So
There's a reason they bake cookies and do all this stuff in the open house.
There
They're
is.
distracting you.
So literally you're saying, go look at homes with your realtor, look out for the red flags, but don't bring in a mold inspector until you've actually decided to put in
Yeah.
an offer.
Well, and I'm not telling our listeners not to do it. I just don't think most people have. I know we don't. Who has the money to pay a mold inspector
For every
to look
house
at
you're
every
going to
house?
see.
Now, if you were to hire me, and let's say it's here locally, and you're like, "Hey, Steve, we're meeting my realtor at 6 o'clock. We're looking at homes till 8 o'clock. Can you tag along with us with your equipment? Not a full inspection, but just with your equipment." I would say absolutely. And here's what I'll charge you. But it's going to cost you, probably $400 or $500.
Absolutely. Well, also, can't a seller deny a potential buyer the ability to bring in a mold inspector if there's not an offer? I would think they can.
I would assume. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not obviously a lawyer.
No, but that just came up for me because I was like, I don't know that you even could.
Yeah.
Before you put in, once you put in an offer, that's a different ballgame.
But on the other hand, if a seller was that sensitive to that,
red flag.
the sellers aren't there when you're looking at the home.
No.
We've both sold homes.
Yeah.
You have to leave. So if I had a client that said, "Hey, Steve, my realtor's saying that you can't be there because the seller said you can't be there," I'd be like, that's a red flag.
Got it.
So
really, at the end of the day, when thinking about purchasing a home with mold, your take is go see homes, look for the red flags, jot them down.
And for our listeners, get a good get a good LED flashlight, get a UV light. They're not that expensive.
No.
And look around. The UV light will spot the water stains a lot better. That's what it's for.
Okay.
But look around and look at, let's say the home's only 5 years old and there's improper grading and drainage. And it's only in this corner. As a listener and obviously as an inspector, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to make sure there's no cracks in the ceiling inside in that area.
Yeah.
Because water's building up outside.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying to our listeners. Look for the red flags. Do what you can while you're looking, and then narrow your list down.
Okay. That makes total sense.
Clear as
to
mud?
me. Yeah, clear as mud. What's your call to action for people?
Just make sure you have the proper people involved. And understand, like if we're talking about EMFs, if there's high voltage lines right behind the house, that's a no-go.
Yeah.
If you have a sensitive nose and there's a feed lot right across the street from you, I think those days are kind of going away. Like, just think about those important aspects for you as you're looking at buying a home.
Absolutely.
So I already mentioned it, The Mold Epidemic's my top seller, but my second best is Black Mold and Home Inspections. It's an awesome book.
Absolutely.
Our listeners are probably like, "Steve, you're always telling us you're busy." I'm supposed to be revising all my books. I still haven't done it, and I really need to.
Yeah.
I've started, but the problem I have is I'm so detail oriented. I want to make sure this is the last time I revise them.
Yeah.
But anyhow, they're still good books.
They are.
They're really good books. The last one, I haven't released a new book in what?
A long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's available in all ways. So you've got ebook, paperback, and Audible. So you can listen to the book.
Yeah, and I'll put in the description of this podcast, I'll put my Amazon author link in there.
Perfect.
You can just copy and paste it.
Awesome.
All right. We appreciate all of you. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you're concerned about toxic mold and the health of your home, mycotoxin testing could be your next step. Visit CNC Contractor Services to discover how easy it is to test for harmful mycotoxins, compounds released by toxic molds. These comprehensive testing kits can help you identify hidden threats in your air, dust, and surfaces. When you purchase mycotoxin testing from Steve Worsley, you can also opt to get expert testing and interpretation directly from Steve. Take control of your indoor air quality today. Check out mycotoxin testing at cnccontractorservices.com.